Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we are playing Kozmo. Now Kozmo is a fun deck involving a lot of spaceships and a lot of special summoning from the hand. It is pretty inconsistent because it does not use the extra deck, but that also makes the deck very easy to build, very cheap. It uses a lot of free cards, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at this deck and see how you can build it. The skill that we're using is Draw Sense High Level. At the start of your normal draw, each time your life points decrease by 1,000, one of the cards from your normal draw will be a random level 5 or higher monster from your deck. This means that you can make sure that you can draw a ship card that you will use to take control of the duel, as long as you have a pilot in your hand to actually use the effect. It's not guaranteed, but you don't have to activate the skill either if you are in a situation where it wouldn't help you. And it can be used multiple times in the duel as long as you keep losing 1,000 life points. It's really easy to proc off of our Kozmo Wicked Witch, so I recommend it. For the deck, we are playing Kozmo Dark Destroyer. If this card is normal special summon, you can target one monster on the field and destroy it, and it cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effects. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a level 7 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck. So it has 3,000 attack points, it can't be targeted, it destroys a monster immediately, and if it's destroyed, it floats into something else. This is a very powerful boss monster. It's very difficult to deal with. It's actually pretty hard to send a card to the graveyard, return it to the hand, or banish it without targeting it. You can remove it with cards like Dengirsu or non-targeted destruction such as Ultimate Fusion, but that's not very common, so Kozmo Dark Destroyer is a card that people will struggle to deal with. It's also free. You get this card by getting Quentin to level 35, so get 3 copies of it for free and go to town. Kozmo Wicked Witch, 1,900 attack points. During either player's turn, you can banish this card, special summon a level 5 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then once per turn during either player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points. This turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. And you can chain to a card that would destroy it to prevent it from being destroyed. So this is a great card. It can't be negated after its effect is activated because it's a lingering effect. So for example, if your opponent activates an effect that would negate Wicked Witch, you can just chain Wicked Witch in response, and it won't be able to be destroyed for the rest of the turn. It's a good card, and you can float into it with a card like Slip Rider to make sure that if you are in a losing situation, that you don't just lose the game outright. Kozmo Farm Girl. During either player's turn, you can banish this card, special summon one level 4 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can pay 500 life points, add 1 Kozmo card from your deck to your hand. So this could be Tin Can. I don't own Tin Can. And I'm making like a budget list for you guys, just like I did with my Trick Stars. So I don't have 3 copies of Tin Can. 3 copies of Tin Can might be ideal, but I've been able to win without it. So I think that this is fine. You know, 1 UR from a box that you probably went into isn't too costly. And this could be Tin Can, and if you have more Tin Cans, then obviously play them. I would probably cut Anka Mafrite to play more copies of Tin Can if I had it. So yeah. Speaking of Anka Mafrite, this is a pendulum card. It has a scale 4. If you have no cards in your extra deck except Anka Mafrite, you can destroy this card, then draw a card. And it must be special summoned from your face-up extra deck by having no cards in your extra deck except Anka Mafrite. If this face-up card in the monster zone leaves the field, banish it. So Anka Mafrite is really good for Kozmo specifically because you can special summon it, you could draw a card, special summon it, then tribute it for a card like Kozmo Dark Lady, which will allow you to get a negate and also a float. So it's just really easy for this deck that has a lot of tribute cards to get access to it. You could also play this in Monarchs, by the way. It would be pretty good in Monarchs as well, although Monarchs want you to have no cards in your extra deck, so you want to use Anka Mafrite and then immediately summon it in Monarchs. Regardless, it's really good in Kozmo, and that's why we have no extra deck. Kozmo Dark Lady. During either player's turn, you can banish this card to special summon a level 6 or higher Dark Kozmo monster from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn, and then once per turn during either player's turn when another monster effect is activated, you can pay 1,000 life points, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the monster. So this card is extremely good. You can float into it with any of your lower level monsters, and then it can float again after its negate and destroy has been applied. So having this sort of midpoint where it's a high level pilot, but it also has a really good effect, allows you to kind of scale up into a card like Dark Destroyer while also getting some advantage and challenging your opponent multiple times in the same turn, being less predictable. And it's also got the evasion. You can get the negate, and then if your opponent tries to remove it with a card like Dark Hole, you can just swap it out with something else. So yeah, it's pretty good. The only problem is that it doesn't float because it's not a ship. So keep that in mind. Even though it's got a high level of, you need to make sure that you actually have a ship to float into her with. Kozmo Forerunner cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effects. During your standby phase, gain 1,000 life points. That's very, very helpful to make sure that you don't die. If this card is destroyed by battle or a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a level 6 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck. Usually you'll go into Slip Rider or Dark Lady with that card. It's fine. Slip Rider, if this card is normal or special summon, you can target one spell or trap on the field and destroy it. If this card is destroyed by a battle or a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Special summon one level 4 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck. This is just a rare. Both these cards are just rare. So far, the most expensive card besides the one UR has been the SR in the same box. It's fine. This card's fine. You know, MST is pretty good. You might want to play this card at more than one now that we're probably entering a Shiranui meta. This is a great way to deal with the trap card that the Shiranui constantly play. So make sure that you play this at 3, actually, I think. If you're going into the Shiranui meta with Kozmo, maybe cut some of the traps. It's a good card. Strawman, during the player's turn, you can banish this card to special summon a level 3 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand. Once per turn, you can pay 500 life points to target one of your banished Kozmo monsters and special summon it, but its effects are negated. Also destroy it during the end phase. So this can bring back a card like Dark Destroyer. Dark Destroyer's effect will be negated, but when it's destroyed during the end of the turn, then you can float into something else. So it's really cool to like recycle your ships, get more pilots out, and then also you can use it to beat people to death. If you were playing an extra deck, you could use this as link material. This would be an immediate link too, while also putting a card that you banished back in your graveyard for some, if you could use it for the Monkeys card. But with this version where we're playing Akamafride, that's not ideal. So there's like 2 versions of Kozmo. There's the one where you play an extra deck and you use Strawman along with the Monkey to get some link materials. And then there's this version where you're just constantly drawing. Kozmo Town. Once per turn, you can target one of your banished Kozmo monsters, return it to the hand, and if you do, lose life points equal to its original level times 100. Once per turn, you can reveal any number of Kozmo monsters in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, then draw that many cards. If this card in the field zone was destroyed by a card effect, you can add 1 Kozmo card from your deck to your hand. All 3 of those effects are not hard once per turn, so you can play both those effects, pop the Kozmo Town, search another Kozmo Town, do it again. If you were playing a card like MST, for example. That's not what we're doing with this version of the deck. Also, I have a Prismatic Kozmo Town, be jealous. But if your opponent, say, destroys this card with their own card, then you can just immediately draw into a ship, and then if you have a pilot out, you can immediately float into the ship. So people don't really want to destroy Kozmo Town, but by not destroying Kozmo Town, they're giving you advantage. So there's not an easy way to answer this card. Because of how quick effects work with these decks, destroying Kozmo Town during your turn is a really bad idea. But if you wait till your opponent's turn, you might not be able to press the advantage. So it's a tricky card to play around. I was actually surprised by how important the 3rd effect was in turning games around for me. Ice Dragon's Prison, special summon a monster from the graveyard and banish it and an opponent's monster. It's a great card. You can use it to counter Shiranui. You're not restricted at all. The deck doesn't lock you in any way. The skill doesn't lock you in any way. So you can play this at 3 and it'd be fine. Lastly, Cosmojo, target one of your Kozmo monsters, destroy it, and if you do, banish 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard. If you destroy a ship, the ship will immediately float, so that's pretty good. But it does say if you do, so you can't target a pilot and then say make Wicked Witch unable to be destroyed or banish one of your pilots in response to summon a ship. It has to actually resolve the destruction for you to get the banish effect. It's a good card. Being able to banish a card your opponent controls without targeting it is very useful, especially for the mirror. So make sure that you have this card. It's great. All right, let's take a look at the replay. All right, so we are going second against Nerf Tachyon. Nerf Tachyon is going to special summon Tenyi Spirit Mapora. Link off. Into Monk of the Tenyi. Special summon Ashuna. Link off into another Monk. Special summon Vishuda. Ashuna banish itself, get the Adhara, synchro into Draco Berserker. Adhara, get back Ashuna. Set 1 and pass. Okay. It's our turn. We're going to activate Kozmo Town. And then we'll use this effect. We're going to shuffle all 3 of our Kozmo monsters back into the deck to draw 3. We did not draw a pilot, which is kind of a problem, but we did draw Akamafride. So we're going to activate Akamafride and destroy it to draw a card. Okay, we got our Kozmo Dark Lady, which is good enough. So we'll special summon Akamafride from the extra deck, tribute it for Dark Lady, and then set Cosmojo and attack one of the Monk of the Tenyis. The opponent does not have Shithana in the graveyard. So we destroy one of the monks and we pass. Our opponent is going to banish Vishuda to target the Dark Lady and bounce it, we will pay 1,000 life points to negate that. Then our opponent's going to activate Draco Berserker, the Tinny's effect, to banish the Dark Lady because it activated its effect. Great, we could just banish Dark Lady in response and get a ship out. So we special summon our Dark Destroyer, we dodge the bounce, and then we try to destroy the Draco Berserker, the Tinny, with Dark Destroyer. Our opponent's going to chain Heavenly Dragon Circle to that and tribute the Draco Berserker to get another monster. At this point, they're going to get Adhara. Okay. Shuna special summon itself, link off into the third monk. Special summon the Adhara. Ashuna banish itself to go into Vishuddha, and now they're going to synchro into Boxia. But the problem with Boxia is it targets. And guess what? You can't target Kozmo Dark Destroyer. So I could activate Cosmojo here to stop him from, like, to banish one of his cards or something like that, but I don't need to. I already have the board, basically, so I'm just going to let this resolve. He shuffles my 2 cards back into the deck. Adhara to get back Ashuna. And then he will link off into the Shaman. Gain 2,000. Shaman effect, discard to revive a monk. And link into Berserker. But he doesn't have Shathana, so it doesn't matter. If he crashes into Dark Destroyer, he's going to lose, not me. So he passes his turn. And it's my turn. Activate Ankama Fride and pop it. Draw a card. Special summon the Ankama Fride and then attack into the Berserker with Kozmo Dark Destroyer. Now the opponent is going to activate Forbidden Lance, which will allow him to potentially win the battle, except for the fact that he can't target my Kozmo Dark Destroyer. So this card does target, so he's going to have to target the Ankama Fride instead. I destroy his Berserker the Tenny, and I'm going to activate Dark Destroyer's effect, banish it to special summon the Kozmo Farm Girl from my hand, from my deck. Then I crash into his Monk of the Tenny, and Kozmo Farm Girl will allow me to immediately draw another Kozmo Dark Destroyer. I attack him directly with the Ankama Fride, then I'll activate Farm Girl, banish it to summon Dark Destroyer again, and attack him directly. So the Forbidden Lance did save him from losing the game right there, but it's not looking good for him. Most of his extra deck is in the graveyard now, and he has no cards left in his hand. It's his turn. He draws. He's going to activate the skill and return all of his monks as well as his shaman to the extra deck. Now at this point, my opponent has made a mistake. There is no way he needs all 3 of these monks. He definitely should have put Berserker the Tinny back, but he did not. So he's going to activate Ashuna's effect to special summon it. Then he links off for 1 monk. Vishuddha effect to return a card to the hand, but again, you cannot target Dark Destroyer. So he's going to target Ankama Fride. Ankama Fride, when it would leave the field, is banished, so it gets banished. Heavenly Dragon Circle, banished from the graveyard. Now he finally gets the Shathana. He's realized his issue. Now he's going to banish Ashuna from the graveyard to special summon Shathana. And at this point, he has a decision to make. He can either link into the Shaman and then discard to get the Draco Berserker back, at which point he could potentially get lethal, or he normal summon Shathana. So he normal summon Shathana, he realizes he does not have a Draco Berserker left in the extra deck, and he also doesn't have any cards left in his hand to use with his Shaman, and he concedes. So there you go. That is the power of Kozmo, able to stay in the game against Tenyi, able to get through all of the Tenyi destruction, and also continuously draw cards and keep floating into ships. It's great. My name is Sarafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.